She's the founder, speaker, and executive committee of Free Them, an initiative dedicated to raising awareness and funds to abolish human trafficking in Canada and abroad by partnering with people, organizations, and businesses to fight human trafficking and slavery today. And she is fighting against human trafficking harder than just about anyone in Canada. Shae Invidiata joins Canada Now. And Shae, you have the 6th Freedom Walk coming up on Saturday right here in Toronto.
Hi, Jeff. Yes, we do, and we're super excited about it for this Saturday.
Well, so for those that don't know, Shae, just how prevalent is human trafficking here in Canada?
It's definitely more than what I think a Canadian would think. You know, oftentimes we think that this is happening in third world countries, overseas, and it's a homegrown problem happening right here in a neighborhood, probably where a lot of the viewers or listeners are listening in right now. 87% of victims that are rescued in Canada are Canadian. So that tells you it's a homegrown problem right here.
Are police enforcement, Shae, as educated as they should be in recognizing signs of human trafficking?
If you would have asked me that question 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would say we still really need to do a lot of work. Law enforcement was very much behind. But I'm happy to say that over the past a good 5 to 7 years, law enforcement has been really trained from right here in Ontario across the country to identify situations of human trafficking and identify victims of trafficking. And so their approach to policing has changed over the past few years.
Well, Shae, how has Free Them helped to change laws and amend criminal codes in Canada?
It's always an upward hill battle when, you know, you're trying to change legislation. But we've got a really great team that works specifically on policy and legislative affairs. And so, you know, you kind of start with calling your local MP, or if it's in the province, your MPP, and saying, we'd like to meet with you to discuss what your office is doing to fight human trafficking. And from there, it's suggesting ideas and ways that you can bridge the gap that we see in our cities to be able to fight human trafficking and make the area slave-free. And so it's a lengthy process, but one that's definitely needed. And over time, eventually you're able to put a motion before the government, and if it gets passed, you know, then the whole process starts on its way to receiving royal assent to become law.
Well, Shae, is that the best we can do to help?
So if you go, we have online and even on our social platforms as well, there's actually a new petition that Free Them has that's out right now where we are asking the federal and also, of course, the mainly the provincial government who's responsible for the education in our province to say we need to be teaching our young people in schools across the board on, 1, what human trafficking is, 2, that it's happening here, but then 3, being able to help students recognize the signs for it and really become empowered so that they make the right decisions. And we are urging the Ontario government and the Ministry of Education to adopt human trafficking into its curriculum because right now it is not there. So it's something we're pushing on the Ford office, and we've been working with some other MPPs to say it's really time that this is being taught, not just by, you know, organizations like Free Them or some of our other allies that are going into schools. And so for anybody listening, you know, you can go onto our website, you can email us, we can send you the petition, you can download it. It's the old school way of getting handwritten signatures by people over 18 years old, and then you can send it in to your local MPP and urge them to help us.
Well, Shae, as far as your experience is concerned, have government officials been responsive when this is brought up?
I would say not enough. You know, we definitely need to have more unity across different parties in the government that are really taking this topic seriously, taking this issue seriously. And so that's really where it comes down to relying on people like you and myself to call our MPP or MP in our riding to say, this is important to me, and you're in my riding, I have a vote, and I want to know what you guys are doing, because I might have a sister or brother, I might have kids, and you want to make sure that your children and our young youth and the upcoming generation are not going to fall victim to something like this.
Shae, for those that don't know, I want to talk about what inspired you to start Free Them. Was it that trip to Hawaii?
Yeah, so I started my university education at Hawaii Pacific University, and it was while I was there, I was 18 in my first year, and I saw human trafficking happening firsthand. At the time, I didn't know what the term human trafficking was. I hadn't learned it yet, but what I was seeing was what we would call forced prostitution. It was girls that were younger than me, 14, 15, 16 years old, that were walking along the track, which is just on the street where sex is literally being offered for sale. And I started to learn their stories, and it's a much longer discussion of how I was able to do that. But over a period of time, I started to know about the modeling agencies that didn't exist when they came to the island, or the boyfriend that promised them a vacation of a lifetime, and it turned into their worst living nightmare. And so I started to realize that the word prostitute that we equate so much with toys is widely misrepresented, and the more accurate word to be using is prostituted. And it was a few years after that that I started to piece together and learn this word human trafficking, and going, wow, this is what's happening in Hawaii. And being Canadian and living in the United States, arguably two of the most free nations on the planet, I just was like dumbfounded, going like, where is our world on this issue? How are we not seeing, or how do people not know that exploitation to this extent, which really is slavery, is still happening today? And yet we just walk right by it.
Well, speaking of walks, the sixth Freedom Walk, how does it feel, Shae, to have come this far with Freedom? Yeah,
you know what? It's sometimes it's surreal. It's hard to believe that this is our 6th year doing it. And I'm really excited. We're really grateful. We've had a tremendous amount of support leading up to the walk this year from different influencers and media personalities and media outlets such as yourself, that have really, really taken to saying, hey, we have a platform. We want to be able to utilize what we can through our own outlets to be able to raise awareness about human trafficking. And so there's been this momentum buildup since the middle of the summer. And so I'm just super excited, because I think it's going to be a dynamic morning. It's going to be super powerful and inspirational. And you're going to hear from law enforcement. You're going to hear from survivors. The Minister of Labor, she will be in attendance in the morning as well. And then we unite together and go out and walk on the streets of Toronto to do a 5K freedom walk. So I'm stoked. I can't wait.
Well, good. Freethem.ca is obviously that's where people can find out more information. But is that, for anybody that's listening out there right now, is that a way for anybody to sign up and take part?
Yeah, so freethem.ca is our main website, but we have a walk-specific one where you can get all the details for the day and register and even donate, and it's at freethemwalk.ca. And you can still join us even the morning of. If you don't get a chance to register beforehand, just show up at the Hyatt 9 a.m. Saturday morning, and our team would be happy to help you register.
And, of course, that's here in Toronto, freethemwalk.ca, the 6th Freedom Walk happening here in Toronto on Saturday. Founder of Free Them, Shae Invidiata. Shae, really appreciate this. You're always welcome on the show. Let us know when the next time you want to come on.
Thank you so much. Will do.
All right. Thank you very much, Shae.